Hey there, how are you today? My name is Dana Damara, and you have landed on Astrocast. This is your report for the new moon solar eclipse happening in the sign of Libra on October 2nd at 11:49 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Okay, so if you've been paying attention, we just recently experienced a full moon lunar eclipse, which means 98% of the time that is followed by a solar eclipse. Okay. And so we're sitting right now in the middle of two eclipses. And what I've been conveying in classes for years, actually, and I know it's been years because I found a playlist the other day that I created in like 2017 that I called In Between Eclipses. Like, this is a super potent time. So in between eclipses, think of like a couple of things. So actually, this might be the easiest way to think of it. So you know those little snow globes, right? That you can shake up and then it takes a little while for everything to settle again. So in between eclipses are those moments in time when the dust is starting to settle. Another way to think of it is when our computer is, say, frozen, and instead of trying to figure out like what's wrong, we press the power button and we just hold it down until everything turns off and then comes back on. I mean, maybe you don't do that, but I do that. And so we don't know how things get rearranged, but we've pressed a pause button and there's this rearranging happening behind the scenes. Now, we are the co-creator of our life. I totally believe this. I believe that our thoughts, our words, and our actions all create what we're experiencing right now. And when we look outside ourselves and we say, I don't like this, I don't like that, I don't like this, what I urge you to remember is a couple of things. One is that thing that we're pointing outward to always represents something that's going on internally. Always, hands down, period, end of story. I'm happy to have a conversation with you about it, but I would bet money that once you get to the root, you will recognize that it's a thought that's within you that's creating this thing to show you a reflection of what you need to learn. Okay. The second thing, and I'm going to show you why this all relates to this new moon solar eclipse. The second thing is that we are feeling individuals. And sometimes I think we forget that, right? Like, we can look up something on Chat GPT, we can Google something, we can find answers that we need, but no one knows how we feel except for us. And all feelings are valid, and all feelings come and go. Okay, I'll save that for something else. But understand that those two things are really important and valuable during this new moon solar eclipse. So I want to share my screen with you and I want to show you what I'm looking at because it's important. Okay. So first of all, we're heading into the month of October, right? And so the new moon will happen just 2 days into October, which means technically we're starting to feel the vibe now. Now, first of all, numerology speaking, October is one of the best months to really focus in on our manifesting. And you know that if you listen to me often, you know that I don't use that word lightly. I feel like we're always in a state of manifestation between our thoughts and our words that create our actions, that create our life. So we have to really be mindful, I guess, maybe be more mindful this month about what it is that you really want to create in your life, because we all understand that by the end of this month, there's going to be a couple things happening. One, the end of October, we're going to be very, very close to our election day. Okay, that's going to kick off November. And then we're going to go into all of our holidays that we start spending and celebrating. So it becomes this very frenetic energy. So my invitation to you, and I'm going to give you some ways to play with this moon, my invitation to you is to get really clear and concise on what it is that you desire. Treat October like it was like a new year. Okay, for those of you who practice new moon intentions every new moon, this won't pertain to you. Those of you who don't do that yet, my invitation is to begin to do that because it's really powerful. So we just experienced a Grand Trine, and it's over with now, but it's worth mentioning. So we did have, and we still do have actually, Pluto in Capricorn. I'm going to talk about this in the October report. Pluto will start to move forward again, and we'll go back into Aquarius in November. But for now, it's still in Capricorn. And then Uranus, which has been in Taurus since I can remember. And then we had Mercury in Virgo. Now, Mercury is not in Virgo anymore, but at the time of the eclipse, Mercury will be conjunct the sun and the moon, close enough to say really damn close, 1 degree. But we just had this grand Earth trine, which was really powerful in setting deep intentions about what you wanted. So I did talk about that in a weekly forecast, just so you know that that's kind of what we have happening with this new moon. But we also have a really beautiful, and it's very, very, you can see it if you're looking at this screen at all. We have a grand trine now in water signs. So we have Venus in Scorpio, Mars in Cancer, and Saturn in Pisces. Okay, so this, first of all, Venus is the ruler of Libra. So this is a it's a Venus ruled solar eclipse. Okay, and so just understand that, first of all, every time that we experience a new moon solar eclipse, it's all about new beginnings. And the fact that we have this beautiful grand trine happening at the same time, what is it at? Okay, 11, 14, and 15 degrees. So Venus is at 11, which is pretty amazing. And then 15 and 14 degrees. This is going to open a lot of doors. This is going to require you to be disciplined, regardless of your psychic abilities, to see, you know, to see to the other side, quote unquote. You know, stay grounded, stay disciplined, take responsibility, look at your shadow side, that sort of thing. Because Saturn and Mars and Venus Grand Trine, you know, all trining one another, creates sort of a whoosh of energy. It really wants you to be productive and successful and I don't know how to say on top of things, but on top of things, right? Sun and moon are going to conjunct Mercury. I did talk about that already, but I do think it's important to understand that it's at 11 degrees. And 11, again, is all about new beginnings. 11 is a portal. 11 is it's a master number, a master teacher. And so this, you know, this eclipse is really also asking you to dive into your wisdom and to dive into your intuitive mastery, which means what? Become extremely present. Become extremely present to how you're feeling. Become extremely present to the words that come out of your mouth. Become extremely present of with what you want and what's showing up in your world. Look at, this is the truth, and this is what I totally believe in. We can create anything we want in our life. We really, really can. We can. Okay. The only thing that gets in our way is our old patterns or our disbelief that we actually deserve what we really want or desire, right? Or we get distracted. Okay, so just be mindful. Don't worry about the future. Leave behind the past and just get really super clear and focused on what it is that you want. The sun, the moon, and Mercury, so that's all right here, just so you can see it. It's actually squaring Mars. Okay, so it's squaring Mars, and then it's also creating, it's not really creating a trine because it's pretty far away, it's 10 degrees, but it is creating some sort of energy with Jupiter. So sun, moon conjunct each other with sun, moon conjunct Mercury squaring Mars will create some friction. This is going to create friction. This is going to create, and Mars is up here. This is going to create we have to do this now. We have to focus. Your feelings might be a little bit more intense. That's the moon. Your communication might be a little bit more intense. So this square will put you in a place of action. It's going to put you in a place of like, I really want to get this done. I really want to move through this. However, remember we have that grand trine in water signs that wants us to kind of chill out for a minute, clearing our thoughts before we act. So this is that opposing energy with Mars can help if you're stagnant around something, but it can become a detriment if you're pushing too hard. So just keep that in mind, because eclipses too, the other thing about eclipses is that they will put us where we need to be. Like they will absolutely put us where we need to be. If you are not paying attention to your life and you're like, I don't know, I'm just going to do this thing and this sounds good and I'm going to be distracted and I'm going to, you know, the eclipse is going to go, no, you need to go over here. Okay, so just understand that's going to happen. It is the final eclipse of the year, which is always nice. But if you remember, we actually started off the year with a full moon Libra eclipse. Okay, so it's kind of the end of a era, if you will. Remember, eclipses are wild cards, right? So we tend to, again, I said that they tend to put us where we need to be. You know, they create shakeups, they create turmoil, they create a sense of instability. But if we can remember that, you know, everything, I have to say it this way, everything as we understand it, once we start paying attention to the stars and the planets and everything, is really one big cosmic joke, right? Like the cosmos, they have a celestial dance and orchestration. And as little humans, we're like wanting to use that energy. And yet sometimes our ego gets in the way and we're like, I want to force this or I want to force that, or I'm going to just charge ahead and power through. And so what I'm going to say is during this full moon or this new moon, the power through isn't really important. It's really the listening to what needs to be let go of. It's the listening to what feels good in present moment. Okay, and I want to show you something else too. So this is actually a south node eclipse. So what does that mean? That means that it's opposite the north node. So you see that little guy that I just highlighted? That's the north node. So if we were to look up here, south node is right around this point, okay? Now, when we experience a south node eclipse, it is about letting go. It's about eradicating the past. It's about saying, I'm done, that's complete, I want to move forward, but we have to know what we're moving away from. I'll say that again. We have to know what we're moving away from. So that means we have to acknowledge our shadow side. And I don't like to use that because I think sometimes that phrase is overused. But it's a perfect phrase. We have to acknowledge our shadow side in order to understand what those patterns are that we are leaving behind. And we have to know that they served a purpose at one time, right? So use this moment to really harness, that's Mars and Saturn and Venus, harness your value and your confidence and your strength to face your shadows so that you can just let them go, right? You know, pay attention to new people that have come into your life recently. Pay attention to any kind of new opportunity that's just randomly shown up for you. Even if it seems out of reach, follow it, because it's opening a door for something new for you. You don't want to shut that door. It doesn't mean it needs to manifest right away. We have the whole month of October. We have the whole rest of your life. Okay, but one of the there's a few ways, a few things that you can do with this eclipse that I think is really, really helpful. Okay, a few actually. First of all, always with the new moon, always, I don't care what sign it's in, it's time to get quiet. It's time to get quiet. It's time to write out what it is that you really want. It's time to commune with nature. It's not time to, like, I don't know. You don't need to share all of this with everyone. You don't have to post it. You don't have to share it at all. Just really allow yourself to drop into what's important to you and what you really want to co-create. And then this week especially, put in some buffer time in your calendar. Just trust me, because eclipses, they tend to like shake things up and create unexpected events. And I don't know about you, but sometimes when I have an unexpected event and I'm like, you know, back to back to back to back, well, that's just stupid and stressful. So this week, allow like buffers in your calendar to just be, okay? If you can, refrain from, launching a new project, beginning something new, signing a contract, whatever it is, just wait and see if you can. If you can't avoid it, then just be really mindful about how you feel about everything. But if you can, just kind of pause for a minute. This is a good pausing time. Maybe write about not just what you are letting go of, but what you want, but what you're letting go of. What do you need? This is a great mantra that I've been practicing with in my own journaling, right? This is a great mantra. Are you ready? Get your pen. You want to write this down, okay? Everything I want is on the other side of blank. Now, you can write fear, because that's what everybody does. Or you can dig a little deeper. What is it that's like in the way of you having everything that you want? Is it a lack of worthiness? Is it a lack of self-discipline? Is it a lack of self-love? Is it a lack of understanding who you are? Like, everything I want is on the other side of blank, okay? And then just start to like cleanse, like get rid of things you don't need if you already don't do this. Cleanse your diet this week, rest, turn off your phone. Don't answer the damn phone after 9 p.m. Who needs you after 9? Now, if you have, important significant others or children and you're like, but I gotta have my phone on, so have it on. But, just be discerning on who you pick up for, right? It's really important. It's a powerful week and I want you to get through it magically. If you want your chart read, reach out to me. You can just go to my website, danajamara.com. You'll find everything you need. Thanks so much, you guys. Happy new moon. Ta-ta.